Hi, I'm Mark at Brakecrafters, and I'm just doing this 5-minute brake check video. So just give you all the key aspects. You want to go over your brakes before you start the riding season, or if the bike's new to you. So like I say, it takes 5 minutes and it's really worthwhile doing. Now this is a classic example because this bike's new to us and we've already found some things going wrong with it that need to be addressed. And as I say, what we're going to do is that we'll do longer in-depth videos on each aspect of the brake system, but this is just like a check system. So this is what we're going to do. So like I say, we're going to go through master cylinders, brake lines, calipers, brake pads, rotors, and bleeding the system. But here what we're going to do is this is just a check and this is an inspection. Okay, so we're going to start from the top. And this is the master cylinder, front master cylinder, so this is where we'll begin. Okay, and what we're usually looking for, first thing, is the colour of the brake fluid. Well, first the brake fluid level, make sure that you've got plenty of brake fluid there. And also you want to check on the colour. If it starts going that sort of darkish brown, it probably indicates that it needs replacing. So again, that's one of the first checks to have a look. Now, one of the things that I said about checking bikes is, again, this is new to us, but what we notice straight away is that this isn't the original master cylinder to this bike. So again, we want to find out how and why and what, and we'll do that in our later videos. But what this master cylinder is from, and how it will actually affect the braking system. So like I say, we'll do that at a later point. But then once we've checked the master cylinder, check your brake lights. Next thing, if all that's good, we're going to start moving down to the brake lines. Okay, so we get the brake lines from the master cylinder and we follow them down. Now what you're doing is just chasing down and checking the route of them. Okay, and this is where on this particular bike, like I say, it's a used bike, we found some issues. Now it's braided lines, which are great, excellent, far superior than the rubber lines. Again, rubber lines you can check just by giving them a good squeeze. You can actually see them expanding, you can see them moving and flexing, which indicates that they're wearing out. Braided lines are far better. However, with this bike, what we see is that whoever has put these brake lines on hasn't routed them correctly, and they're getting trapped here on the chassis and on the fork leg. They're actually getting pinched, and you can actually see there's kinks, there's wear, and they're also pulling the lever. I'm not actually even sure if they're the right length, which means that they're going to start putting tension on the joints here, which may cause problems. So these need to be replaced. This isn't correct. Again, this is an important thing that we've picked up on, and I'll do this immediately. Okay, so then from the brake lines, what we do is follow down to the calipers. Okay, so what we're checking here with the caliper is the basic condition, and we can see that this one's quite dirty. You can see you've got some very dirty pistons, and it does need a good clean. The other important thing is that we can see the levels on the brake pads. We're looking for nice even wear, and also how much meat's still left on the pads. Okay, so the meat and evenness on this is really good. The only thing it does need doing, it needs a good clean, but again, we'll do that on a separate video. So after the pads and after the caliper, last thing that we want to do is have a look at the rotors. So with the rotors, what we're looking for is primarily just scoring, heavy scoring, and also wear. Wear is always a good way to tell you and check the mileage. So if you've got a bike that's claiming it's 6,000 miles, yet you see real big worn out rotors, you know that that mileage isn't true. So it tells a lot with the rotors. But again, what we're looking for is any scoring. Someone's run them down to the metal and it's damaged the rotors. Also check for genuine rotors. You always go with OEM, either a high quality EBC or original rotor. Don't use Chinese ones, that they are just garbage, and I've known them to break up. I've got a friend who was on a track day on his GSXR 1000, come to the end of the straight, front brake, rotors have broke up, he's gone straight over the bars. They're really not worth it, so always use OEM or OEM specification rotors. So yeah, again, no cracks, no excessive wear, good condition, just could do with a bit of a clean, and that's great. So now we'll just do the same again, and we're going to have a look on the rear system now. Okay, so checking the rear, it's exactly the same as the front, it's just located in slightly different places. So here we have the brake reservoir. So what we'll do is check on the level, make sure it's between the two markers, and also check the colour. Again, we've got a dark colour here, so I'll be looking at replacing that. Here you've got your master cylinder, and what you're just checking on is make sure that you've got plenty of play and good action. Very easy to drag on those, so you have to allow for your foot resting on it, so do check on that. Again, that's good. Next thing is we're into the brake line. Okay, so we're following the brake line. Now it is worth checking, because I know, again, this has got this braided line, which is excellent, far better than the originals, but you want to make sure that they're sort of laid out correctly, and they're not going to be rubbing, and there's no wear marks on this. But this is all good. Again, we follow it down into the caliper. We can check just through here both the piston condition, and it's the same sort of thing, just it needs a good clean, and also the pads got plenty of meat on them, so they're good. We come through and we check the rotor, no cracks, no cracks. Other thing with rotors is check for bluing. If you see any bluing on that, that means that at some point the rotors or the brake caliper has been dragging on it and creating an awful lot of heat. So that's something to check on. So if you see a blue rotor or any sort of bluing on your pads around here, around this sort of area, it's something that's definitely worth investigating further. But there you go, that's pretty much it. It's just simple from master cylinder, brake lines, your fluid, caliper, and your brake pads and rotor. Simple steps. It takes 5 minutes to go through it, and you'll know where you stand. If you can catch stuff early, you'll actually save yourself a lot of money, rather than corroded pistons, corroded calipers, internals and stuff like this. So I strongly recommend that you give it a 5-minute check. Alright, thank you very much.